This episode is brought to you by Midwest Night Watchers, found everywhere on your favorite podcast platforms.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Piercing the Veil.
Hey, happy Sunday.
Yeah.
Man, the weekend flew by.
Yes, it did.
So hope everyone had a good 4th. Had good weather. It was hot here. Very hot.
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 Just saying hi to everybody in chat.
Yeah, I just said hi, everyone, so I don't have to individually keep going and looking down and typing.
Oh, I try to say hi.
No, I usually do. But yeah, I see Midwest. I see Jackie, Amber, Moon at Noon, Val, Jackie again. We got Janelle, Amber, Robin M.
Amber said it's so hot out she caught her hair on fire.
Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible. I think everyone's experiencing the heat. But we are in July.
That's right.
And we're in the 90s and 100 heat index. And guess what? I bet Walmart and Dollar General is going to have their Christmas stuff out any day now.
I made the heat part up about Amber's hair. She said it was actually fireworks. So evidently it did happen.
Oh. Let's see. Arcane, welcome in. Gemini, welcome in.
Tim Mothman.
I
think that's what I read.
I do see Tim Mothman. Hey, Tim Mothman, welcome in. Well,
so
we have no technical difficulties, and we're just going to get right into the show. Hey, Gary, welcome in. So let's get this going.
So if you guys saw that, we have Jesus Payan back, and we're going to be talking about Tartarian and Old World. So we'll just bring him right on.
Yep. Hey.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Working good.
Welcome back. Good internet. No technical difficulty.
Yep. I knew that day had to come, so I'm pretty sure the world's ending. So
we almost had a show. I mean, we had the mic, and then all of a sudden your mic just kind of went weird, and then you couldn't get back in the studio. So yeah, we just had to cancel at the last minute. Hey, that happens. It wasn't your fault. Things happen.
It was the man trying to keep us from telling the truth.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we're going to tell the truth tonight, if they like it or not.
Or T-Mobile just really sucks.
Yeah, that's it. We'll just blame T-Mobile.
You know?
So how's it going? Is it hot there?
It's hot. It's real hot. We went to 103, was it yesterday?
Ew.
And then, I guess last week we had a weird isolated thunderstorm with hail, and I have pictures. I forgot, didn't think about it, but I have a picture. It looks like a big old curly Q-tip, starting to touch down, and yeah. But it's been mainly just hot. real hot with occasional showers down here where I'm at. I'm like at the base of the mountains of southern New Mexico, Alamogordo, White Sands area, and like right 15 minutes away from me is the mountain, and then there's Ruidoso, and they just went through all kinds of hellish fires, last year, and floods, and now because of all the scarring from all those fires, they're having more flash floods again.
Right. Nothing to hold it back now.
Texas here, everybody's just getting pounded.
Wow.
Yeah, so sad to see all the footage from Texas with that massive flood and that.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a lot of inches really quick.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. In 3 minutes, it rose 15 feet in 3 minutes, and then it was a total of almost 30 feet in like an hour or half hour.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was like 40 minutes, and
in the middle of the night. You know what I mean?
Unheard of. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And we're lacking rain. We aren't going to have to mow for a while. Our yard is all yellow and dried up. We had some storms last night, got a little bit of rain, but Gerald checked the rain gauge. There wasn't even anything in it. So it didn't amount to anything. And storms on its way. You're thinking, oh, cool, we're going to get rain. I think it's so hot, it's disappearing on the radar.
It's evaporating by the time it gets down.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Tartarian Old World, one of our favorite subjects. I know it is yours too, Jesus. So where do you want to begin? Do you want to show some UFO pictures, or you want to start talking about?
Well, we could just knock those out of the way real quick, and then we can jump in deep dive into the Tartarian planosphere.
Well, I think they're connected, because I honestly feel that they were left behind from the old world, and then they found them, and took them a while to figure out, how do you run these things? So I think they actually came from the old world.
The old Tartarian tech.
Yep.
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense because all these paintings and images of old UFOs.
Yeah, it shows UFOs
all the way back. Especially like in India too, with the Vimanas and all that. So here, this picture is from White Sands National Monument, which is right smack in the middle of the White Sands Missile Range. I was out. This is 2023 though. This isn't recently, so it's not like all the brand new metal sphere stuff. But I was out doing photography, trying to take pretty pictures of the mountains and White Sands, and I was just going through them recently, looking around, zooming in here and there, and saw those two dots. And then zoomed in and realized those weren't dots. They were actually two metal spheres just cruising by. And I have the exact same picture that, if you go to the details, when you open it up a picture and you can see what time it was and everything. Literally right after I took that picture, I took a second picture of the exact same, dreamscape. But it's not there. So they weren't like fixed on a pole or something, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I just found it really, really intriguing because of all the sightings we're having right now of these spheres, especially in Bogota, Colombia, where they actually have one. Jaime Maussan and Maussan TV, Deseo Milenio, they actually have one they've been examining and doing all kinds of scientific research on, which is really cool. But
so that's
really neat,
That's a close-up of your picture then of the two dots that were down low in the horizon.
And you can tell those are metallic of some sort. These look pretty dang shiny to me, polished.
Yeah.
The reflections are giving off. But like the other picture I sent you that you've had on your show before, there's lots of old religious paintings, and not just religious, but that era of paintings, Leonardo, Da Vinci and all that, where you have images of these balls, these metal balls, spheres around back then. So,
there's a lot of videos out there now of these metal spheres or drones or whatever they are.
Yep. And for the longest time, we've been seeing these little tiny balls, but they've been by airplanes and helicopters.
Yes.
We've never seen an up close version of them until now. I think it's the same thing. Those basketball sized spheres, when you're next to an airplane, look like a little tiny little ball, or by the helicopters.
I see that a lot when I'm watching the skies at night. If you see an airplane, look around it somewhere. You'll eventually see this little light going somewhere.
Blinker.
Following it, or they're above it. They'll power up a little bit, and I'm thinking those pilots have to see those things.
Right? I don't see how they don't.
Right.
But
So this is a religious picture you're talking about, and we're talking about this right here where they got the globe with the antenna coming off of it, and it looks strangely similar other than the shiny metallic part.
Right. But who knows? Like that, the one they have in from Colombia, the Boogosphere, they're calling it. It has a whole bunch of fiber optic endings, and what look like little cameras and all kinds of sensors throughout the whole surface of it. It's really, really, really advanced stuff.
Yeah, I've seen them. Go ahead.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
A lot of people think that it's just but he pounded it and carved those shapes into it and stuff. It's not that simple.
I've seen a lot of these spheres that also look like they had the tentacles coming down off of them, whatever those are for. Some people say jellyfish UFOs, but these aren't like the animal or the living creature ones. These are like metallic, the balls with tentacles coming down off of them. So I don't know what they are.
Yep, they're the Terminator jellyfish.
Terminator jellyfish.
We just named them.
Right, T1 jellies.
There you go, T1 jellies. That's what we'll call them from now on.
But yeah, no, I think that like you were saying earlier, that the UFOs and all that tie in together with Tartaria, and the Tartarian tech that we see, and it's there. We just not always really know how to work it. But I think they did start learning how to work it with Tesla back then. And that's why everything went super quiet, because in a lot of old articles, you can read, they don't hold back telling the original histories in these old, newspaper clippings and stuff. But as soon as like 1900 something hit, all of a sudden that's when it seems like the cover up happened and the switcheroo with history, information. And I was like, at that point when we're able to, I guess, start researching ourselves is when they're like, oh crap.
Yeah, right.
We gotta hide all this stuff,
Oh, with all the old airships. Look at all the photos of the airships. So if they had those with, a hotel and everything inside it, I truly believe the UFOs were around back then also. They were in all these old paintings.
Yeah, well that's so strange that all we heard about is, me growing up, all I really heard about was the Zeppelin, and the explosion and all that.
Right.
Right.
I heard more about that from Led Zeppelin than from history books, and it didn't mention nothing else. Didn't mention all the we had Zeppelins, and the U.S. Navy had them, and a bunch of military used this stuff. We had these before the Wright brothers, but they made a big deal about the Wright brothers. Not talking about, like you said, they had whole hotels and just insanely incredible flight, and being able to take more than just 3 people at a time, or like just a basket balloon situation.
And if you look at the old Wright brothers from Kitty Hawk, when they had the people, the crowd, they're not even paying attention to them flying. And a speculation, just like you were saying, is that they didn't care about that airplane because they've been seeing ships and stuff in the air the whole time before that. So they didn't that's no big deal.
You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you guys ever watch the silly videos on YouTube or whatever, where it's like over a weekend, a bunch of people get together and they put on some silly styrofoam arms and they run off a thing and they see who could fly the longest for 15 seconds into the water. It's like now, after learning everything that we know and what was really happening back then, to me now that looks like that.
Yeah,
like them just putting on a silly ass show over the weekend, like, hey, we're flying, guys, look at it, like little birds. Whee! It's like, no, it's like it feels like we've been getting slapped in the face for a while now. It's
yep, absolutely.
So how long ago was it when you finally started kind of opening up and realizing, oh crap, we've been lied to?
I would say not until the 2000s.
Okay.
I was still, I guess, I believed in UFOs and Bigfoot and all that stuff, but I really hadn't dived into ancient history, that deep until like literally 2001. No, no. Yeah, 2001, 2002, when I started working at the Natural History Museum of El Paso, and I suddenly had access to a ridiculous amount of info to his ancient history and the connections, and ended up working there, not just as a dude takes the cash, but actually was teaching there and giving tours to all the schools, and I got to learn so much more and stuff that just didn't make sense. It didn't quite. Hold on a second, that. Why don't you guys put that out there on the thing? They're like, oh, we can't put that out there. That's what I started really thinking about, like, oh, so it's a thing. You can't, or you'll lose your funding. You won't have, the schools won't come over and buy tickets, and yeah. So that's when I started really realizing and started to dive into into all that and really researching the Bible more, and the UFOs in the Bible, the technologies that we're finding out that described it.
So I have some. Go ahead, Jane.
This is before you started acting then.
Oh yeah, that was about 3 years before, maybe 4.
Okay. Wow.
So we've been showing Tartaria pictures for a long time, and I got some better pictures of some cathedrals and temples. So I thought I'd bring those up and we kind of talk about them a little bit. And
Cool.
I mean, we can go all the way into orphan trains and Cabbage Patch and wherever we want to go from there.
Timeline.
That's the Cabbage Patch thing. I was literally going to bring that up about not just that. I was going to just start with the orphan trains and all the premature baby shows that they have, like they're showing new cars and stuff. But all that I wanted to ask myself, or ask you guys rather. At some point, something happened, obviously, in a major way, where a lot of people went bye-bye. We have a whole bunch of bones underground, set up in all kinds of fancy designs. And there was a group of individuals that showed up first after this happening. Where did they show up from? We don't know. Which group is it exactly that did that? You know what I mean? Like, and how long did they wait? And what if, how all the tunnels and they're finding everywhere?
Yeah.
Like the old Tartary buildings are all connected underneath. All the cathedrals are connected underneath. I mean, for miles and miles and miles and miles. What if? Let's think about it. Where'd all that dirt go? For all these damn tunnels. What if that's where the dirt came from? In those areas, and they just piled that shit out. Digging these tunnels for whatever was going to come and whatever was going to happen. Just, I don't know.
And all these buildings that were covered up with dirt and mud flood or whatever, when they dug them back out, where did they put all that dirt then?
Right.
Where's it at?
Because think about it, if it was a flood, right? Like, when we see floods that are not expected and they're crashing through, we're not seeing that kind of damage on these buildings.
Right.
Because when we dig it up, they're nice. They're just dirty, but they're not all destroyed and debris and that's there. No, it looks like just good dirt.
Well, another theory I heard was there was no volcanoes for thousands of years, and the very first volcano that went off set off hundreds of them, and all that ash came down throughout the whole world, and it lasted quite a long time, and it was quite a bit, and then the rains came and it all turned into mud. So that actually kind of makes sense also.
Never, like I said, we just don't know.
Right, we don't know.
We don't know.
We're trying to figure out.
But we've got the evidence of something.
Something. Yeah, definitely something.
So I got these pictures of cathedrals, And this is the Milan Cathedral.
Nice.
And it's just amazing how all these sculptures and carvings and spires and bell towers, and
Built in 1 year.
I think this one's actually more than that, but but anyway, I know that's usually the general timeline for like World's Fairs and stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm looking it up right now.
This Milan Cathedral has 3,400 statues, whether it's outside or inside carvings.
Wow.
135 spheres or towers, however you want to say it.
Right.
Of everything from saints to gargoyles to animals, angels. I mean, you name it, they got it on this building or inside this building.
Oh, the details is amazing.
Right. Do any of the statues have their heads chopped off?
No, but I do have a couple. I don't know about this because I didn't zoom in all the way on all these pictures. Usually I get better pictures, but
Are you referring to my lunch break the other day?
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. Just a couple days ago. Yeah. And this head is off. That head is off. Huh. I wonder what they look like.
Yep.
Yeah. Blamed on earthquakes.
But I think I do have a close up of another temple that has a couple of the heads missing. So when we get there, we'll have to talk about that.
Or hands are
The
missing.
upper foot, the feet.
So this supposedly was built or founded or discovered in 1386. So if you can imagine in 1386 constructing this, I just not buying it.
Yeah, well, it's amazing what Donkeys Incorporated can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but seriously though, it's like the explanation they always have is, oh, they had time. People worked harder back then. You know, it's like, yes, we did work harder, you know, back then as compared to today. But there's a point, there's a limit of reality that we got to, you know, really come on. You know, it's just ridiculous, some of these things that we're seeing.
But we were told those cowboys and Indian days.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's think about it. You know, that's what we were told, that anything 1800s period, there was nothing. And there was just like, you know, the beginning of cities like New York, you know, San Francisco, barely, you know, not full on infrastructure and buildings, you know, that are already aged, you know, where they need to tear them down and build 5 more on the same spot, you know?
Right. This is the Cologne Cathedral.
That looks like 2 giant megawatt power machines.
Yeah, this I mean, you just talking about free energy and stuff. These 2 towers are so tall that they actually have their own atmosphere at the top of it. You can actually see cloud formations and stuff appearing inside these towers from the inside.
Wow, that's massive.
Well, can you imagine getting energy, plasma or whatever from the ether, and then introduce that into your own little atmosphere inside this building? How much power that would generate? That would be amazing.
Oh, imagine the complete opposite. What if this building inside here that had at some point, I'm guessing some very large organs and all these windows that have all those cymatic patterns, and when they played that organ, it amplified all the juice from that ley line that it's built on with all them bones in there and shooting up into the sky into the ether.
Right. That's true. It could be generating and putting it out for free energy to go out across the network. Because you know all these old buildings that have these big towers, they all have to be connected like a network, like we have today, networks for phones and electricity. Yeah. I imagine they worked on a network also.
Yeah, well, it's like every day we mess with our phones and do all this stuff. We're using that same ether that we don't want to say exists. You know?
But they are just so amazing. I mean, I can't imagine again, you know, like the company you're talking about, two men in a wagon.
Right. Doug and Dave. Yep, Doug and Dave. You know. Well, that's the thing. Like there's several buildings that we've looked at that actually have a long timeline saying that they were built over a long time, but those are far and few in between. And we have no-name cathedrals that are ridiculously large that we're learning about that we didn't know existed, that were said to be built in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, that are just as intricate and even not more on the insides,
Right.
the outsides, you know.
And we can't even get close to making anything like this these
Oh,
days.
hell no.
Absolutely not at all. We did not lose. There wasn't craft specialty men back then.
Right. I mean, it's just crazy.
Or they say giants did it. Well, giants have big fat fingers. They're not going to be able to do all these little details and stuff. That's beautiful up there. Wow.
I mean, every time you go over these pictures and just zoom in on one section, I can't imagine how long it would just take just to make this triangle section, let alone everything else that is around it.
And if you're chiseling all that, there's no mistakes.
Nope.
Oops, we got to start all over.
Oops, we got to start over. Here, Polly's saying maybe every piece of the building is made for the acoustic inside. I mean, I've watched documentaries where they talk about the big cathedrals, how they actually planned it to be acoustically, where everything will bounce just right and be able to hit the people in the seats or the pews, if that's what you want to call them. And
well, they say a cathedral is a cathedral. Am I saying it right?
It almost sounds
Catholic, yeah.
Catholic, yeah.
In the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
So here, this is the La Sagra Familia, so family. So it's another cathedral church.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Look
my
how
God.
high these.
No cranes back then. Come on. Or some people say they did it by frequency. They lifted all this by frequency back then too, but I think there's more to that, not just frequency lifting things.
It looks like part of it's been melted.
Wow.
Been cooked. Oh.
Yeah, if you get closer to these have been eroded or something to them.
Yeah.
The very bottom, if you look at the entrance at the very bottom.
Yeah. Partially melted. Oh, wow. Oh, that thing is huge. Wow.
And then, of course, you got us normal, what we see every day, these blob buildings and metal, and then you have this.
Right. No, what I like is on the old maps, around the world and not around the world, in what I'd like to call, the pre-American times, there was a bunch of castles everywhere and cathedrals and star forts,
Right.
Well, it amazes me is how many has been destroyed by World War I, World War II. So how many was there originally, and then they destroyed a bunch. So they had to have been all over the place.
Yeah,
and then they destroyed them.
A ridiculous amount, and they've been there. And that's what pisses me off is all our teachings, all the schooling that I had growing up, it had nothing of this at all. We just straight up got lied to so hard. It's ridiculous. That's crazy.
So this picture has cranes in it, so they're trying to work on the outside or doing something. I'm not sure what they're doing because it does look like it's in, like you said, it looks like it's been burnt or molted.
Yeah, it looks like it's been melted. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of that the statue they have at the Vatican in the church, the big one where it's like looks like Jesus is pulling out of hell or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me of that type of thing. Maybe that's them talking about that moment. I don't know.
Well, some of these pictures on one show, they were explaining that, you see people working and stuff up there, but it was actually painters, and they're painting over the marble and granite. So it just looks like a
Yeah, they're just putting a facade on it. Yeah. They're just making it look.
Yeah, well, that's what they said the term whitewashing came from. They were literally painting all the buildings that they found white for the fairs. They're just real quick, and those are the pictures they have. Is of them painting.
It's like after a tenant moves out, then you paint the walls and put new carpet on. That's all they were doing was just fresh
paste in the holes. Yeah, you know. Is that guy's arms broken? Look like it.
This guy?
Yeah, a lot of times the arms are off, or the hands off, or their heads off.
Right.
I'm not sure what those are supposed to represent. Well, this one has like a square head. I don't know.
Like a robot.
Like a skull. That looks almost like a skull. A skeleton.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Then the same with this one in the middle.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't
check. Sorry.
I wonder how many people went by this place and thought there were actually people there getting ready to jump.
911. Yeah. Or over there, it's 411 or 442 or.
And I'm not sure why the tops look so different. They're all colored and nice and pretty compared to the rest of the structure.
Recent.
Same thing with this Christmas tree looking thing. That kind of looks out of place too.
Yeah.
So here is an old image or postcard of Borobudur, which is a Buddhist temple, one of the largest Buddhist temples in the world. And matter of fact, it is like one of the largest structures in the world as far as square footage and footprint.
Nice.
Do you know where some of those cathedrals were that you were just showing?
Yeah, they're the big ones are obviously in Europe, UK. Then we have them in Munich, Germany, and then the Milan one is obviously in Italy. And then you have the Cologne Cathedral.
Okay.
So
Yeah, Standing Stones was asking, and some we may know where they're at, but some of them we may not know where they're at. We just got the pictures.
Yeah, we'll have to do a bigger in-depth. I'll get more pictures of the insides of all these places, and we'll go through them. But yeah, usually the UK, I mean, that's where we kind of think of castles and stuff. But then when you start getting into the temples, whether it's over in India or Europe, it's amazing. So if you look at this, look how big and how many stories going up. And then it doesn't even stop at those. And then you got the bell or the big tower at the top with all the little ones around. So there's always speculation that those were UFOs or some kind of energy devices on top, antennas, instead of our big bell towers that we're used to steeples.
They look like diodes. Like my dad, he used to work after the military. He worked making computer chips, and that reminds me of the ends on a computer chip that you pull up.
Right. So if you would have somebody walking down these stairs up onto this sidewalk, could you imagine a size of a person that compared to how tall this is, how high this is?
It's ridiculous. And those little belt thingies on the top, those, I've seen like up close versions of them. They're carved. You can see inside them, can't you?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. That's crazy.
They tried to tell us that monks would go and spend time inside there. I don't believe that, but
they were very small monks.
There was water around it at one time also.
Right.
So there's a aerial overhead.
That's wild.
I don't know if that's a certain kind of semantic pattern or
perfect measurements. Many monks. Wow.
So here's the some of the carvings on the outside, and there's one right there. It doesn't have a head. That's what I was talking about earlier when you brought up missing heads.
Right.
So you think there's rooms and chambers in there? Somebody was asking in the chat.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, there is, absolutely. You could, if you knew the way in. I'm assuming there's a way in.
You know what I think would be interesting to do? You know how they did the LiDAR for the pyramids, right?
Yes.
What if they started scanning all the dams in big lakes?
Yeah, absolutely.
For all because they buried a whole bunch of places creating dams, you know what I mean, and flooding places. So I think that'd be interesting because there's a lot of on Google Earth. I found them before. Some of the lakes you look into them, and it looks like computer chips and stuff. Real strange, really odd. There's got to be cities under there, just like how these were shaped.
Yeah, we've been doing shows here lately on man-made lakes, and they're covering everything up, or they found pyramids or temples, and they go ahead and just build a man-made lake over it anyway.
We talked about Norris Dam in Tennessee getting covered after they found a platform or the archaeological dig for a temple or a pyramid. Then they went ahead and flooded the area.
Right.
Even after they found all the evidence and brought it out and let people know about it, then they went ahead and covered it up anyway.
Yep. That little feller, Praveen Mohan. He has a channel, Praveen Mohan, I believe it is. He's a little Indian guy, and he does tons of videos on everything in India. It's really, really neat the way he presents things. I'll have to send you a link.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Do you have the pipe organ pictures handy?
Yeah.
Wallet.
Yeah, since Jesus brought up the pipe organs, I was thinking, wow, you've got some amazing photos of pipe organs that, they claim they built in the 1700s, and somebody came up and invented these pipe organs way back when. But the pictures that he has, they're stunning. They're just beautiful.
Luckily, back then they had, it was like Costco, but for pipe organs. So they were always available to make. Yeah, it's like, how do you I know what the type you're talking about. Those aren't just backyard, some monks slam some, pipes together. It's ridiculous how huge some of them are. Like, holy crap, huge. Amazing.
Yeah, did we have factories back then to make all these? I don't think so. And they had to know the size of these pipes for the exact, beautifully, the tunes, and no one really knows how to fix them or even play them these days.
So this is a big corridor or a wing of the cathedral, and all these are pipes for the pipe organ in one section, because all these cathedrals have different sections for the pipes, whether it's against the back wall, against the side, so they can acoustically fill the whole place up, almost like remember when stereos first came out and you had quadraphonics and all that? Well, they already had that in the church going on, where they had the bass and the tenors in different places of the church.
Right.
And then you have these great, massive stained glass windows right there, where you're letting in the light and the colors that have their own frequencies. Then you mix it with the tones and the healing sounds of the pipe organ all at the same time.
And what are the stained glass windows made with? Besides glass? Lead.
Yep. Lead in them, and so it's just amazing.
Very conductive,
Wow.
I mean, they're just so detailed and so pleasing just to look at them, even without the atmosphere of the pipe organs and the bells and the towers ringing, and
it's relaxing.
Well, it's the human beings. We also are capable of doing some amazing stuff ourselves. It blows my mind on some of the artwork that we do have, that we know we did.
Yeah.
There's some amazing stuff,
Right.
A lot of talent back then.
Mm-hmm.
Built in 1 year.
They were all named John or the same damn names, you know. Each group.
Get O. Henry over there to work on that.
Hey, what about Mary? Did you ask Mary's sister, Mary, and her friend Mary?
Yeah.
Zoom into the bottom of the carvings of the wood.
Oh yeah.
That's stunning.
So not only do you have metalwork, but you have, like you just pointed out, the fabulous woodwork.
Yeah.
Look at all the little horns and pipes they have down below for each tenor and mid-range section, let alone these deep bass. And then you have the woodwork up above, and then going into the stained glass with the colored light and glass from emitting the sun ray colors through the glass like a prism. And then, like Jesus said, you got the lead and the other materials holding it all together. I mean,
like, I don't like this whole AI thing, you know, because I think it's the devil, right? But it's really useful sometimes. So it'd be really interesting to input, say, all the schematics and blueprints of this cathedral, including all of the pipe organs and their dimensions, and then having the computer figure out the tones and what would happen with that specific shape of the building and the windows, and have it run a simulation on what would be produced, what would happen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So Standing Stone made a good point that she has stained glass windows inside my house behind the kitchen sink, and you can see it from the family room on the other side. Well, most houses in the U.S. and other countries, you know, UK, especially Europe, used to have stained glass windows in all our houses. I mean, they'd have them in the foyers and the entryways and in the living rooms. The top part of the windows would have stained glass in them.
Right.
And so this is stained glass windows emanating light and color onto the pipe organ as it was playing also.
That's beautiful.
That's got to do something, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, light, we all know that light and colors in the light band has frequencies for each individual light color. So if you're putting that sun ray through those stained glass windows, they have to be emitting frequencies. They have to.
And then add the music frequencies to it also.
Right. And the bells and the pipe organs. I mean,
and it bounces off the ceilings and just resonates. Oh my goodness. So somebody just kind of made up and went, oh, I'm just going to try to put these pipes together and this and that. And
yeah, the engineering's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It would go into all that, you know.
And there's no new pipe organs these days. So they're just getting slowly destroyed. If they stop working and they can't fix them, they just get rid of them.
So can you imagine tuning, creating this pipe for this big bass, and then going all the way down the scales,
right,
all the way down to these itty bitty little flutes, and you'd have to have them all perfectly tuned.
It's like, what kind of song were you trying to play? Gee.
Yeah, I mean, like Quadrophenia. I don't know.
Phantom of the Opera.
You could have your own symphony just out of the pipe organ.
No, this is the best part. When they build these, there's only like 7,000 to 15,000 people in the whole city.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, what the? Come on. Why do you guys need that big old, cathedral for that? That one's beautiful from the top, looking down on it.
Yes.
And the pipe organs were around the whole world. They weren't just in one country.
Yep. Think about it. The pipe organs, the bells, all of that working together, you know?
Yeah.
There's your pattern right there for the stained glass windows.
Yep. Frequency shaped windows.
The sun blowing that in there.
It's just amazing.
We've been so hoodwinked and lied to. It's upsetting, man. And it's like, I know we all got to pay bills, and tomorrow's, going to be Monday and all that, but it's very distressing to me knowing how much there is to our realm and our histories, and
Right.
it just sucks that they're hiding it from us, you know?
Absolutely right. A lot of times, right in plain sight. We
Yeah.
we don't even think about how marvelous and magnificent these things are. We just think they're old buildings and they don't really have a purpose, you know. And that's just the way they built things back then. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to go deeper than that. You got to start really looking at all this stuff.
Well, it was like last 10 years or so. So many of us kind of wake up and we're just kind of going, wait a minute. You know, I'm 63 right now. And I'm going, we didn't even think about any of this until recently. Like, this don't make sense. It was just right in front of us the whole time, our whole lives, and we never questioned it. But it seemed like the last 10 years, there's so many of us that are waking up like, wow.
The internet, the instant access to so much information and us being able to share it with each other before the internet happened. Think about it. The only way we had, we were able to go find stuff was buying the encyclopedia, going to the library, you know, taking the time to do that. And there was a whole bunch of people that didn't want to take time to do that.
Now you can't find a lot of encyclopedias.
No, it's like an antique now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People just throw them out, get rid of them, destroy them because they think, well, okay, we can just use the internet. And you lose all this stuff, the written words that describe everything in there. And a lot of times the internet don't have that little gold nuggets that you'll find in old history books. And
I try to buy books all the time. Anytime I can buy me some books with some good information in them from the past, I buy it. And the older the better too.
Yeah, we've been going through the old Bibles and just all kinds of old books.
So here is some stained glass window examples on cathedral churches. And strangely enough, if you look at the octaves of the semantics and then look at what these stained glass windows, they kind of look familiar, kind of look similar, don't they?
Yep.
Some of them remind me of crop circles.
Right.
Absolutely.
There's definitely correlations with that too. And there's so many different versions of vibration. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, may it be sound, may it be light, may it, you know,
water. Yep.
Electricity.
Well, to give you an example, I have like 60 singing bowls. They're all different sizes and stuff. They're all 7 metals. Some of them were store-bought and they were man-made. But I can have like 4 of them in front of me. They all say they're the key of C. But if you do the frequency part, they're all slightly different. So I mean, you know, there is probably so many in between C and D. There's probably several different frequency notes.
Right.
Right.
It was like I used to, you know, back in my day, I used to have the boom boom in my car and would do the speaker contests and whatnot. And I remember hearing a story about this kid that had cancer and he was always depressed and he liked the lowriders and the bass, you know, boom. And that he would sit in his vehicle and he had like, you know, 8 or 9 12-inch woofers with 3,000 watts, you know, pumping through them. And he ended up obliterating the cancer cells with the bass passing through his body. And he was listening to jams.
Wow.
You know? So, yeah, it's vibration, you know, especially in those cathedrals. Imagine going in there and turning everything on and you walk in all, you walk out feeling like, you know, an Avenger, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, that frequencies and vibrations will kill cancer.
Yeah. There's actually quite a few cures for cancer, it seems. It's kind of messed up.
Yeah, it is. I mean, every day we're learning new stuff about whether it's home remedies or holistic healing and stuff. And it's like, well, we knew how to cure cancer way back then. They just wouldn't let anybody know about it or get it out there.
All kinds of home remedies, farm remedies.
Right.
You know, I don't know. It's wild. It's like they try. I've heard some scientists saying that if we can live at least 5 more years or something like that, that we'll be living long enough to be at the point of technology where we can extend our lives now, by decades.
Yeah, they're saying, the last I saw, they're saying our grandchildren or even great grandchildren are alive right now will be living
Forever.
110 plus years.
Yeah.
The way medicine and science, I guess, if you want to contribute modern medicine to it, but
Right.
I think more and more people are disconnecting from big pharma and going more natural and holistic. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
It's like, well, which would you rather die from? You know what I mean? So at least let me do it naturally.
Right.
Yeah. I think a lot more people are doing natural holistic than the man-made medicine. They're realizing, hey, we got to go back to the old day medicine.
Yeah. Well, remember that movie, Lorenzo's Oil?
Yes.
Yep.
Then you have the marijuana and hemp, and I mean, have all kinds of stuff that they tried to outlaw. I mean, obviously, all of it was at one point in time against the law to use, and now we're finding out. Hey, I wonder why they wouldn't let us have this.
Yeah, they knew marijuana was medicine.
Yeah. Well, when they did prohibition, it was everybody was using it for medicine.
Yes.
Using alcohol for all that, and they're using a lot of things that they now call it a Schedule 3 situation, that was used for medicine. And not until they made it illegal and it became a commodity on the streets, did it get abused in the way it was being abused. Well, it gets abused now. And what's the biggest problem they got right now is fentanyl, right? And where did that come from?
Yeah.
It wasn't us just making it in their backyards, you know what I mean? And Heisenberging it, it was pharma, and the medical uses that turned into abuse.
Just like growing up in the 60s and 70s, the people would call the holistic people or hippies or whatever. Well, they're the ones that were wearing hemp clothing, cotton clothing, all the pure stuff, while everybody else in society was moving towards the synthetic Ray-Bans, polyesters. Well, now we're finding out that if polyesters and Ray-Bans are sucking the energy out of you and not letting you heal, that's why when you go to a hospital, you have cotton and linen sheets and robes and whatever. Everything's made of natural substance in the hospital because they want to heal you. They want to give your body a chance to recharge and generate. Well, you need to do that in your real life too. You need to wear less synthetic clothing because it dampens the frequencies and the operational things that you need to come in from the earth and from the air to heal you and let your body recharge.
Yep. We need to do some more research into the whole aura, our aura and energy force that is around us, and the ways that we can mess it up and the ways we can get it back.
And I saw a study on that also, that our auras aren't as big, as bright as they should be because just like women wear makeup, they put dyes in their hairs, they paint their nails. Your nails are the most shining place for your aura to generate is through your fingernails. And guess what? Most people cover them up or chop them off as short as they can.
Nope. Yep, not good. So what do you think about so far almost every cathedral has the catacombs underneath it, beyond just a small crypt. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was looking into those a lot here lately. Yeah. Millions of bodies. Where did all these people come from?
And who cleaned the bones? That's what I want to know.
And they're all in designs and all detail.
They are awfully clean, aren't they?
Yeah.
Why is it at every underground catacombs I'm always finding toothpicks everywhere?
Well, that was good.
Right.
That was good.
Send back my compliments to the chef.
You know, but seriously though, how do you clean out bones? You got to boil them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And there is no rotting underneath there where they're at. And then you don't see any of those bones. You don't see not even a tendon left. Nothing. They have been clean. You know, so I think we need to do the scans on the cathedrals, all major cathedrals, and dams, lakes created by dams, and excuse me.
Or they're going to stop it and not let them do it anymore.
Oh yeah, because right now you can. I guess there's some company that you just book it or what. Like I would like to look at this area right here, just like that, because if that's possible, I need to know how much that costs, because I've got some places right here I need to do that too. You know?
Yeah. Now you got an interesting mountain by you.
Oh, I found some more stuff.
You did?
Oh, really?
You getting pictures?
I do.
Okay. Wow.
I'll share some of those. Those are it's definitely, this whole place was covered. Just
wow.
Giant statues, and it's amazing. I can't wait. Like I said, I want to get this place scanned so bad, because I can only imagine, because there's several strange formations that don't make sense mountain formation wise. They look like literally like
melted wise.
Well, you know Play-Doh, right? You know what Play-Doh is. And how the toy you'll put the Play-Doh in here and you squish it.
Yeah.
It comes out this side. There's some of those out here, but on a major, ginormous scale of that.
Really?
Yeah, it's really weird. It doesn't make no sense. With erosion, the whole, this was used to be at the bottom of an ocean.
Wow.
None of that. I mean, it is odd.
Yeah, I'm amazed on all the melted buildings. Oh, there you go, girl.
Speaking of catacombs, I found my catacomb pictures.
Cool.
So this is the one in France, in the catacombs.
And people have to pay money to go down and tour this. Come on.
And they separated the femurs and the skulls, and they made designs. And I mean, who took the time to do that, let alone like you said, just the cleaning of each one.
The brains. There's no brains. Where'd it go? Where'd the brains go?
And so there's no oozing on the floor of any bodily fluids or
something eating all this.
And I've never heard anybody say, man, that one time I went to the catacombs, it smelled funny. Never heard that before. I've never heard anybody make a comment on smell at any catacombs.
Interesting.
Look at these that have the holes in the back of the skull.
So somebody took the time, a lot of time, to do that, man.
Wow.
And our bones are technically, they're crystalline. So I can only imagine the energy that they're producing is specifically placed in certain ways.
And didn't they have an avalanche when they were building this and have to start all over again?
I don't know. That sounds crazy.
Oh.
And why don't the earthquakes knock them out of place?
Yeah.
Right. And then remember, these cathedrals that these are usually under, they're built on ley lines, right? So if you have these all specifically done in certain ways, with all the bing bong up there, with all this down there, and the ley line energy going too, with the ether energy too, and that's a whole bunch of energy,
Yeah, did they wipe out a good ley line and put death and darkness into the place where the ley line was, to spread it out through the world, to spread death and darkness out instead of good energy?
Little season. That's another thing I want to dive into again at some point, the little season.
Right. Well, this was the next slide, but it doesn't really, this is about the triangles set up for all the weird stuff that happens between Area 51, Fresno, China Lake, Las Vegas, Reno, that whole area reaching out. So I was doing a big thing on triangles all over the world, because we have them in the Great Lakes. We just think of the Bermuda Triangle around us.
Right there above that, where it says Area 51 and below Reno, that looks like water water erosion, big giant wave erosion above it.
Yep.
Or between them.
Yeah.
Very cool picture.
So we usually think of the Bermuda Triangle and stuff, and but actually they're all. We have the Dogman Triangle in the United States. We have a triangle in Lake Michigan. We have a triangle that you just saw there in California and Utah and Nevada, and I mean they're just everywhere around here. So how do we get these triangles? You know, from ley lines, from maybe some of them are man-made generated. I don't know.
Right. We live in a truly way more amazing, fantastic, mystical place than they're telling us. And they're using it to their advantage and taking advantage of us.
Mhm.
And, I wish I could be like, let's charge, let's take it back.
Right.
The want is there,
I think people are starting to wake up and realize it and starting to want to take it back or start using old technology. I mean, we call it old technology, and really it was cutting edge and beyond our technology.
I know, make sure look all wrong.
And we shouldn't use this for division, because if we live in a realm, if we live in a matrix, if it's a simulation, are we flat Earth? Are we round Earth? Does it really matter? We are living somewhere all together. So they're trying to divide all of us, but it doesn't matter if it's flat or round or egg-shaped or if it's just a realm. Let's stop fighting and just realize, hey, we are living together somewhere.
Yeah, because when the demons come, they just call us humans. They don't differentiate us besides through, what we believe in.
Yeah.
There's just too much division and fighting. And
well, it's like that old speech that Reagan gave, remember? And he said, what would it take to get us to band together, but an outside force, aliens, only then will we realize that we're all just humans.
Right. Yeah, there's division of UFOs and aliens and all this and that. Well, life is like a buffet line. Eat off your own plate, do your own research, have your own opinion, but don't look at someone else and go, hey, I believe differently than you. Right. And then you start a fight.
I think that's the main reason we have not had the psyop of a fake alien invasion, because they know that what we do is we band together. So if we had an alien invasion, everybody in the country and in the sticks and farmers and to Cajuns to whoever is going to band together and start taking these things out or trying to.
We've seen too many damn movies. And we got too many guns.
We're not going to now. A lot of people aren't going to run scared. There might be a few, but they're still going to fight.
Mm-hmm. No, there's a bunch of people that can't wait to fight.
Look at the drones a year ago. They were shooting some of them down.
Yeah. All them drones, man. I hate drones now.
So that's my theory why they've put off the fake invasion or whatever, because they don't want to excite the people, because they keep seeing over and over again. Every time we do this, they start banding together and start fighting back.
Well, that's the thing, though. Also, now that it's so mainstream that's what they were going to do, and we've been all saying, this is what they're going to do. This is what they're going to do. They're like, God damn it. Stop doing that. We were about to do that, and now y'all go into this stupid Instagram, TikTok,
Yeah, they can't do anything these days. Everybody just go, that's just fake.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like the whole China thing, with all the floods and everything that's going on there, how the China doesn't let it come out in the news on what's happening, and it's all the people that have phones that are filming all this stuff, and just local YouTube news stations are picking up all the flooding and all the horrible stuff going on. That's the thing, they can't control. They'd have to shut off everything if they wanted to stop the people filming everything and finding out what's going on, and all the hackers and all that stuff. We've made a mess.
It's crazy.
A beautiful mess. But
so you want me to share, or are you still getting ready to share?
No, you can. I was just going through folders to find stuff. Go ahead, share your stuff.
This box is underneath this bar. Can I get it? Okay, I can. Okay, so I do share screen, Windows, click on this, share.
Cool.
Now, am I able to zoom in? I don't think I can. You're able to zoom in, but I don't think I can.
I think you can.
Just touch your screen like with the arrow, I think. No? In the top it'll
Nope.
pop up or something? No? Oh.
I'm not sure how you zoom in, but anyway, I think everybody can see that, all right?
Yeah, it looks
beautiful.
It looks great.
So these are built in 15, 16, 1700s, even 1800s. How? I just don't understand how.
Get one like this.
Well, if that's over in India or over in the Middle East, that's probably 1400s or earlier.
And there's the ceiling.
The symmetry is ridiculous, you know? It's amazing.
That's the thing I like about the Middle East and places like that, Old Tartaria, that the colors are so vibrant.
Oh, I can.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Now you're getting it.
Yeah, found it.
That's just beautiful. I mean, these. Wow. Oops. No, I gotta slide you over there. Okay.
Yeah, you should be able to scroll your finger above the mouse on that apple and be able to zoom in that way too.
Okay. Just beautiful details.
See, the more beautiful stuff I say like this, the more upset I get that how evil they must be trying to hide such incredible, amazing, beautiful stuff from us. They want turmoil.
Now, some of that kind of looks a little bit melted, doesn't it?
Yeah. Some aspect of it does, yeah.
Yeah. The flowery areas.
The depressing thing, just like you were saying, Jesus, is that can you imagine what our houses should look like and feel like right now? We have brick mortar and plastered walls with paint and, carpet and all this stuff. Could you imagine having granite and tile, Italian tiles all over your house?
Something that lasts forever. You can pass on down to your generations and generations of your children. And,
right.
You know what I mean?
Structures that should be generating good frequencies to us that we would live in 24/7. And like you said, they could literally be here for thousands of years that we could be living in.
Yep.
And we found out fireplaces were not fireplaces back in the old world. They're generators. That's why every single room had these massive fireplaces that you can even walk in.
The big two balls in front.
Yeah.
Yep.
With the big, those two big balls in the front were
red mercury.
Just tiny little details all over.
Oh, and then how they try to get us all scared of mercury too.
Yes.
And I still don't know how they hauled all this, even the big squares of marble for flooring in muddy streets. They got stuck with just writing just themselves, let alone trying to haul something extremely heavy.
Right. Well, it was like that thing they did, was it the world's largest rock that we moved in modern times is not even half of the weight of some of the things that they moved back then.
Right.
And it took us, I believe it was like 3 days or 4 days to move it so many miles. And they had to build special, 36-wheel transport trailers and just ridiculousness. That looks cooked, huh?
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's a lot of carving.
It's like,
amazing.
Did they carry those statues up there or did they carve them up there?
Right.
Exactly.
And now that looks like the same thing, but melted.
Right.
You go back.
Yep. Even the base is a different color.
Melted buildings. Yeah. Look at the different color layers. Interesting.
Yep. The very bottom one's darker. If you look at that picture before, it's the same thing on that one. Darker at the bottom, the base of it, the rock.
Now look at all these details. Now that's crazy.
Well, like because I know you guys watch, my lunch break, and
Yeah.
he was doing he's done a few episodes on angels helping build these things in short amounts of time, and they're actually in the histories of some of these buildings that they actually had one building that was literally flown there by angels, carried to the spot.
Wow.
Well, what if God spoken in existence?
Everything. Some big doors.
That's an old map.
Tick with tick.
There you go.
Yes, yeah, the giant books.
Andre the Giant's personal library.
No, that's probably in Russia.
Turns out it's Milwaukee or something.
Right?
Right?
This is an old World's Fair. They just built it in 1 year. This is plaster Paris, everybody.
Matchsticks.
And
Standing stones once you go back to the Tartaria map.
Yeah. Oh, there was this one, I forgot which one I was watching, but they had built it out of cardboard. The picture, it says that it was a cardboard version of it 3 years before it actually got built.
Yeah.
It was just a cardboard, yeah. I mean, full size, okay? Full size.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they did that. They did that in the Russian Olympics. They could not build the how every Olympics builds great buildings and scenery and all this. Well, Russia could not finish it, so they put up cardboard and fake buildings and made it look like there was like food and stuff inside, and it was all cardboard just to fool people passing by. You couldn't actually enter it because it was just a front facade like you'd see in a movie.
Right.
So this is my point. I've been saying we started out Tartaria. Okay, everyone's saying, oh, Tartaria. Well, now we're saying Old World because Tartaria was actually just over, like where Russia is or above Russia. Right. So now we're calling it Old World because these cathedrals are in every single country. They're worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
These Roman buildings that all the governments have, post offices, things like that, they're worldwide. So now we're calling it pretty much Old World, not Tartaria, because to me, that's where Tartaria was.
Right. But it was definitely a shared technology around the world, whatever it was. It was worldwide. No, it's really hard to, with all the stuff that happened in the Bible, and in the Sumerian stuff and in every different ancient culture, they all echo each other, and it just seems like there's a very big time mess up in time on how much time has passed by between these calamities that are in these old writings. I think that it happened way sooner than we realize.
Yeah.
Well, I've been noticing a lot of these old photos when you see all the grown-ups in like Victorian style. There's very, very few children in these photos. They're mostly grown-ups. So I've been noticing that here lately, too.
Or there's just children. It's one or the other always.
Right. No adults or just children. Yep. I found in an old history book online. I downloaded the PDF. And inside this book, it talks about Tartaria. And it says that Genghis Khan was a ferocious Tartarian warrior. It doesn't say he was a Mongol like we're being told, or it says he was a part of a Tartarian.
Yeah, he didn't even look like the way we portray him in history. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, it is what I always said since a long time ago is once you realize what is up is down and what left is really right, and what's right is left.
You gotta switch everything, just like our maps. People say you have to flip our maps upside down for them to make sense in the real world.
And that's the thing. It all ties back to that naughty, naughty, naughty boy, the devil. And everything that he has tried to do and his whole plan has always been is the complete opposite of the truth. And the same thing with the CIA when he said that once the people believe the complete opposite of the truth, our job is done. And who he works for is a whole different story. You know what I mean? At the time.
Yep.
It all ties back to ancient societies and just their modern day clothing. That's all when they talk to us. CERN's concerning. What's going on with CERN? And
CERN. Yep.
Good old mud flood.
Oh, the thing is, in the Bible, it gives that location of where the devil is supposed to be trapped, or if not released already, but that's in Geneva. And that's where they have CERN.
I think this is one of the best pictures of the mud flood, of how deep that pillar was buried.
Right. And it's strange. Only certain parts of the world seem some areas seem to have got hit harder by mud floods than others.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or more burnt.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of these are either orphan homes or for the insane. Do you really think back in the 1800s, they built this massive, giant castle for the insane or the orphan kids? Some of these buildings are amazing.
No.
Why would you build that for the insane?
You wouldn't need to go all out like that. Make no sense.
And here, this was probably either orphan or insane. It's just massive places.
And
These days, we'd throw up a stone building for a prison or the insane.
And at the most, early in the 1800s, when they were building these things, most people couldn't live in places like this. Yet they made them for the orphans, the homeless, to live in these places.
Yeah, right here, this says, state hospital for the insane. And there's like 1,500 insane asylums.
And for those times, that would be considered state-of-the-art building, and
yeah,
why would we spend 10 million or whatever, how much it would cost to build something like that and run them the way they were ran? All the stories that we've heard of all these places, it's like a bunch of misfits went in there pretending to know what they were doing.
They lived in luxury. Wow. Oops, not too far. This place is massive.
1,000 rooms, probably.
Have you noticed it looks like all the trees have started all over again, too? They're all short and tiny. Like they all got replanted.
Right. Well, speaking of that, I just saw a thing online where we've always talked about how like Devil's Tower might be a big tree.
Yes.
Supposedly they did use LiDAR, and they found like an old ancient root system underneath there. That's what they're saying. I don't know if it's true or not, but we'll have to look more into that.
Right.
So these beautiful buildings. They really made the insane all comfortable, didn't they?
Oh yeah. I love the buildings, the old buildings that have very mature trees already.
They look like these little trees are tiny too.
You know what I mean? They
have
100-year-old trees when it's a picture from when they just got built.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Once again, tiny little trees look like they all planted at the same time.
Yep. What happened there?
Yeah, what's going on in the front of that building?
Digging it all up, painting it. Don't know.
They hadn't invented ladders yet, so they had to do ramps, dirt ramps like the mud people,
Where's all the donkeys?
Right.
This one's interesting.
That's ridiculous.
Wow.
That's literally absurd.
There's some melted buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just carved these things and they just started living inside the mountain. No, I'm pretty sure these look like they were buildings and they got melted.
Look like a Picasso painting.
Yeah.
Definitely doors and windows and peaks, especially that. Wow. It kind of reminds me of Petra.
Absolutely, like Petra.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think these are old petrified mushrooms.
Right.
I think these were buildings and towers.
Yep, towers.
But they do look like mushrooms. Now
that's buried.
That's definitely buried.
Mm-hmm.
That's just massive. Now here we go with the bells. Look how tiny these people are compared to these bells. And they got them all the way up there on top of these steeples.
I would love to see the foundry that cast that.
Right.
Yeah. And how heavy it is. And just what did it sound like? And they destroyed so many bells.
And how hard did you have to ring that to crack it? Or did
Right. What exploded?
That's probably when they
Destroyed
got rid of them and threw them down. You know, they destroyed them, ruined them. And how many buildings had these beautiful clocks? And once again, not too many people.
Well, like Jesus said, you know, at the time they were building these buildings, you had very low populations in these areas. Not everybody moved into the city yet or was here.
So did everybody get together and built these together, or did they hire a construction company?
Right. Well, like here in this little town that I live in, Alamogordo, we have, I'll take some pictures of some old world style buildings, not many, and not ginormous, but we only have 35,000 people here. And our biggest buildings we don't even have an escalator in this town. We have the only place that we have actual elevators would be like we have 8 hotels and maybe 4 hotels that are that tall, and the hospital,
right?
District attorney's office, you know, the district courthouse, and that's it. That's our extent of big buildings. And like I said, we have 35,000 people, and we have the Holloman Air Force Base right there, which I believe has like 7,500 people on it. And we have no need for anything the size of these, where there was only a few thousand, or 15, 10,000, 5,000 people in these cities that have these huge buildings.
Well, it goes with San Francisco. By the time they got out there was not that many people out there, and you built this massive city.
Yeah, there's already a whole giant city built. Well, then it makes sense, because a long time ago, I remember hearing about the government giving out homes and giving out buildings and giving out it was just, they're giving them away. And I never, this was when I was way younger, and teenage years, I had heard about it, and I was like, that sounds silly. Where the hell did they get all those houses and buildings and stuff from to give away? Why'd they build them? You're just gonna give them away. I thought it was just ridiculous. Well, now we know why, because they had more than they could deal with. They had to explain it away. They needed to fill them up quick.
This is kind of late. Shelley asked about a painting. Did you mention a painting, Jesus?
We're talking about Michelangelo or Leonardo da Vinci. We're looking at that the UFO one, weren't we?
Oh, that one? Okay, I didn't know how far back this went. Because we talked about the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah. With the Bigfoots at the bottom.
With the Bigfoot at the bottom. Yeah, we talked about that one.
Yeah, we've showed that a few times and just freaked people out. Like, what?
Yeah. Oh, there's one. Oh, man. I think. Let me see if I can find it. Where can I send you? Just, you don't have to put it up if you don't want to, just to see it. It was a picture. Aha. from South America, and I believe somewhere in it might be Inca.
Oh,
And it shows holding the head of a Sasquatch.
Ooh.
really? You can send it to midwestnightwatchers@gmail.com.
I'll send it there. Okay. Yeah, Bigfoot. All right, I just sent it.
All right. Well, while that's coming, I guess I'll go ahead and bring up the Sistine Chapel picture. We'll just go ahead and show it again.
Yeah, if nobody has seen the Sasquatch going to church. Saint Sasquatch.
Right.
Maybe it was Cain.
Well, remember they said Mary Magdalene was there's pictures of her in paintings covered in hair like a Sasquatch.
I just think it's amazing. There's a lot of saints in these old cathedrals.
They don't look like what they said they look like.
Right.
Right.
So here's the back wall of the Sistine Chapel as you're walking down the main aisle, and they have the altar. They have the altar right here in front. Then the crucifix with Jesus on it is actually a statue in front of the back wall painting.
Saints.
And then as you get closer to Jesus and you start noticing in this mound or in the earth is two figures. Well, when you zoom in closer to them, this guy here hovered in, looks like a classic Bigfoot picture to me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Classic, from the head shape to the shoulders to the muscles,
Right.
down to the feet. That looks like a Bigfoot Sasquatch
Yep.
to me. This guy, I'm not sure. He looks like he's not covered in hair and he has hands.
Check this out. He has horns and wings. Those are folded wings above him, I think, on his back.
Yep.
Oh,
And
there's wings.
then his foot
Hmm.
is completely different than the other one's foot.
Polydactylism. Looks weird, yeah. Looks like he could grab onto.
So, you know, why, if this is actually Bigfoot or whatever's being portrayed as, and this first guy that's on the outside of the cave or right looking out could be a demon, and this could be Sasquatch or a wild man. I don't know.
Right.
But why would that be in the Sistine Chapel when everything is all about the saints and apostles and everything that's happening in the Bible? Then right there behind Jesus in the mound, you have this.
Right. That don't make sense.
I'm pretty sure someone said this was called the final judgment. So would that be after the millennial reign during Satan's little season and Gog and Magog and the last final judgment before the great white throne judgment? That's what I'm thinking this represents. People coming out of the grounds, the dead coming out. And you want to show the hanging skin real quick? And we had a guest from the UK say that he thinks this one of the who was it? Saint? Oh, I'm trying to think. That was skinned alive.
Barnabas.
I'm trying to remember what Paul said. Yeah, one of the saints were skinned alive, but that does look like somebody.
There's a big statue of him where he's standing holding. He is wearing his skin as a robe. There's that statue. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing we can think of is about the hanging skin. That's kind of creepy.
All kinds of.
Yeah, there's people coming out of the ground, and it just, oh, very interesting to have in a cathedral.
Bunch of weird imagery on this. Whatever. No matter where you go in here, there's something that, to us anyway, right now, you know, we weren't back in the time this was painted, obviously, or biblical time. So like the imagery is just bizarre to us these days, or to me anyway. I don't know.
There's a lot going on. definitely.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. St. Bartholomew was the
Saint
one that got skinned
Bartholomew.
alive.
Yep. Bart.
And I don't think this guy was on drugs when he was painting this. You think he got visions of the future or something? Just amazing details.
Well, it's supposed to be all about. It's supposed to be everything's supposed to be in the scriptures that he painted, or so I don't know where you would find
It was back in around the 1500s.
this.
Oh, Mad Max asked, was it painted over? No,
Oh, I don't know.
you don't. Yeah. We've been lied to about so much, we don't know. If they say this is original, it may not be. How do we know? If they say 1500s, how do we know it was actually 1500s?
Right.
Could have been earlier. Now, do you have any cathedrals around you, Jesus?
In Santa Fe, we do. In Santa Fe, and that would be Albuquerque. We don't have too much ancient stuff, but we have that. You know that one church that we have the spiral, the miraculous stair.
Oh, yeah, that is in your state.
And that's, if you look at it, that's old world stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't make no sense why it was there.
You used to have a picture of that too, girl. Do you think you found it?
That
Find it?
What?
That one staircase that's in one piece?
uh,
And they don't know who built it?
ooh, there's a Sasquatch thing.
Oh, yeah.
My phone's broken. That's why. Yeah.
That does look like he's holding a Sasquatch head.
Right.
Oh, wow.
My phone's messed up. That's why.
Here, I'll download it and save it, and I'll bring it up.
Cool.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's right.
that church in Santa Fe. Once I really got to a good look at it, from the outside, because they always just talk about the inside of that place.
Everybody's
Somebody ran a donkey or something, and when I finally saw the outside of that church, I was like,
Wow.
everybody in chat's talking about the Denver airport.
Oh.
Yeah.
All the weird stuff in there, all the imagery, and
Well, they got rid of a lot of that imagery. Got that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary, and I was like, "Holy crap! Pause! I gotta take a picture. I gotta take a picture."
Wow. That does look like a Sasquatch he's carrying.
Right? It has the from the nose to the lip and everything right.
Wow.
definitely hairy with the skin, the facial skin, and then the broad nose and the head, forehead.
Yep. Not cool.
Definitely like an Inca, or like you said, some kind of native, or
Yep. Because if you compare the head size of what he's holding there to the actual guy's head,
yeah,
it's almost double the size of that head.
right.
So it's got to be big, man, whatever it was. But it looks real Sasquatchy to me.
It does. Where was this at? Where was this display at?
In the well, it was in display. I was watching a documentary.
Okay.
Timothy Alberno was talking about.
All right.
The Inca discoveries in Catacombs or something like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Wow. Very interesting. Will we ever know the truth?
If we keep digging,
once we die,
stuff.
we'll probably have to die first.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Once we figure something out, then we end up having more questions going, oh, wait a minute.
The more you know, the less you know. That's
yeah.
Literally, the more you know, the less you know. That's why I said it's hard. It's harder for people that are intellectual to not get depressed in living, because once you know so much and you realize how screwed up everything is, instead of living, like they said, ignorance is bliss, right? You know,
That's the worst part. Just like you said, growing up, we were told our history and all this stuff. I mean, to find out that they've been lying to us about stuff, where do you draw the line? Where were they lying to us and actually telling the truth, or were they ever telling the truth? Is 2 + 2 really 4?
right?
I mean, how do we know where to stop questioning? We have to question everything now.
Right. Even with NASA and the moon, I mean, everything. We just have to question everything. I don't think there is anything they told us that is true. Everything's the opposite.
I mean,
It snowballed. They had
Yeah.
to lie about a lie about a lie about a lie, and then had to lie about that to make that lie fit to that lie, and that lie, and
And they're trying to cover up, I don't think, just free energy. I don't think that's it. They're covering up the old world and what it actually was.
yeah.
I mean, we've been telling our kids growing up, you know, when they ask little questions here and there, you know, why is the sky blue? Well, I'm not even so sure the sky is actually blue anymore.
You know, I didn't know of a sky.
I mean, my eyes might be seeing it as blue, but is it really blue?
Right.
Or is that what they're projecting to us? Or, you know, I don't know.
Or are we just prompts in a program?
That's right.
Now, what year are we in?
It's a whole nother thing.
That would take forever to start going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. How many years did they add? Did they subtract? Oh, I don't know. You know, just once again, you can have your own opinions. Just don't attack other people who have an opinion.
Right.
You know, a lot of us are leaning towards we're on a different timeline.
That's why if I don't agree with somebody, I just shoot rubber bands at them.
Because I've seen some big arguments here the last few months on YouTube about the little season, or are we waiting for an antichrist? I mean, there's been a lot of division, and I'm to the point we could be, you know, in that timeline of being deceived. Do I know for sure? No, but it sure does look like we are, and we've discussed this with you too, Jesus.
Yep.
You know, we could possibly be. You know, was these buildings the millennial reign for 1,000 years, and we are living in that short little season of being deceived by Satan.
And then hearing about angels were helping build them, that adds to that theory.
Right.
But if it was the millennial reign, Jesus did say he's going to go away and make mansions for everybody. Did he speak it into existence? If it was the millennial reign, were they in 5G? I mean 5D, not 5G, 5D. Was it a higher dimensional place also? And then after the 1,000 years, it went back down to the 3D, and then they had no lights and stuff anymore. And then they had to go to candle, you know, and back in the old days, you know, the horse and buggy, and because everything just suddenly changed on them.
Right.
You know, and Satan came out, caused a mud flood. They've been destroying these buildings and the evidence ever since, attacking Christians. The cathedrals, they were claimed by all the Vatican.
I think society or civilizations, no matter when it was, finally starts getting closer and closer to the truth and doubting, and that's when they do a reset and wipe us out, and then we have these orphans that they start all over again, whether they're incubator babies or whatever they are,
rabbit patches, or
they start bringing this new civilization up and programming them for the narrative they want to come forward.
Why was there 1,500 insane asylums? And we saw the pictures of how big those places are. They were packed out with people that they claimed that were insane. No, I think they didn't want to go along with the reset. And they just shoved them away and then started experimenting with drugs and this and that. And then they kind of closed down all the insane asylums. And then it went underground. MK Ultra, Montauk, this and that. They continued it. It just kind of went secret.
And try to convince us that those are demons. The demons are aliens.
Oh,
there was that many insane back in the late 1800s and early 1900s.
That's what they
That's
call
a lot of people.
Latchkey wants to know about any thoughts about the sky bangs and booms people are hearing and recording.
Are they recent?
Yeah, they're coming back. We did
Really?
shows on them before about the big booms and the mysterious sounds, you know, but now people are starting to record them and hear them again.
Wow.
I think it's because they're messing with our ionosphere, and
They're trying to break through the firmament.
A lot of this weather is because of that. As they're messing with that whole thing, and they're able to control the weather. As terrible as it sounds, you know, that them would even fathom killing people like that. Because, you know, how do you fight nature? I think that it's well within the capabilities of humankind at the moment to pull that, you know.
Wow. Trying to see if there's anything else in chat that I might have missed.
Everything getting strange. Right. I just ask everybody, have an open mind. Use your common sense. Don't go with what you learned in school or society or the news. If someone believes differently, don't attack them. Everyone does their own research. And I've got friends that believe in the flat earth. I got friends that believe in round. Like I said, does it matter? So now I've got friends that believe in the little season. Other friends that are waiting for a rapture. Does it matter? No, we're living in this time. It will play out no matter what, and we can't change it. It's going to play out the way it's going to play out. That's just how I see it.
Tomorrow will come, and every day it's the last day on earth for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep, absolutely.
End of the world for somebody every single day.
Well, that was something else I was thinking. When Jesus, they were saying, you know, when is the end? Well, even if we are in the time we're waiting for the Antichrist, the rapture, that's not the end. The end would be in the little season, waiting for the holy city to come down, Gog and Magog, instant fire coming down, and then there's the white throne judgment, new heaven, new earth. To me, that's the end. So, I mean, if we are in that timeline, that's the end. But if we are waiting for the Antichrist and the rapture and then 7-year tribulation, then 1,000-year millennial reign, that shouldn't be considered called the end.
Right. How many of us are going to make it till then?
Mm-hmm. It's like every generation since Christ has been waiting.
Yeah, I'm saying that. Yeah.
I mean, my parents talked about it. Their parents talked about it. I mean, the people in biblical days, while it was happening, while the crucifixion was happening, they were expecting Jesus to return soon.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing about the little season. When Jesus was telling them these scriptures, he wasn't telling them, oh, it's not going to happen to you guys. It's 2,000 years later. No, he was talking to them that soon all this will take place. So there's a lot of positives in the little season theory. Do I know for sure? No, but everything does make sense. Even with all these old buildings and stuff, it looks like a millennial reign was here. It really does. So just fascinating.
It is. It is. And I hope all our watchers out there continue to throw us all kinds of different ideas and theories. And it's the only way we're going to figure it out by us all working together.
Yeah, please send us anything, any thoughts, any pictures, or any interesting things that you may have found in old history books, or even theories that you have. Send them to us, whether it's to Jesus or to us at MidwestNightWatchers@gmail.com, and we can pass them on to Jesus, or however it happens. We'll do another show. We'll just bring more stuff.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, there's so much more. You know, we're not done digging. I think we're going to find out more and more. And it's just the last few years that this little season, even the theory came out, and everyone's going, "Whoa, this does make sense." And I was amazed the last time we were talking to you that you're definitely believing in the little season also. Yep. So was it just a few years ago that you kind of came to that conclusion also?
Yep. It's just kept on pointing to that. And I was just like, nah. Well, that makes more sense.
It does.
It does.
I mean,
unfortunately.
it's like everything else, once enough things point to it. I mean, the simplest answer is usually right in front of you.
Yeah. Well, it's like a lot of people that I still, I talk about Bigfoot, and like I'm doing physical therapy right now for my foot, and the physical therapist I talked to about Bigfoot stuff, and one of his techs is a physical ed tech. This young lady, she says, I've been to that area where you said you saw Bigfoots before, and I've never seen anything like that, and I've never seen any evidence. And I tell her, I go, well, you don't know what to look for. If you don't know what you're looking for, and you've never looked for it, why would you even notice it?
Right.
Or if you don't believe it, if you've got your mindset, you're not open, they're not going to be visible to you or even present themselves to you.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's why you say once we open our eyes, then we start noticing everything. We're like, holy crap, I missed that. Oh man, it's right in front of my face. Oh damn.
Well, I think this is a good place to stop for the day. And like I said, we'll have you back and we'll just continue on to Tartaria, Old World, wherever it leads us. Do orphan trains and incubator babies and Cabbage Patch next time. I don't know. I'm sure we'll touch on it.
Yeah, because you're still going to be at home for the next few months before you do acting and stuff. Yeah, we can get you scheduled again. We'll do orphan trains and the insane and this and that. We'll just keep digging down this.
No more technical difficulties. Yay.
Yeah.
Today was awesome, though. Today was good.
It was
meant to be today.
Nothing happening. I was like, this is strange.
Is there any projects or interests coming up that you have going on that you would like to tell anybody, or?
Just putting some of my ancient, findings from this mountain range in front of me here that I'm putting together. Some new stuff that you guys haven't seen yet. It's pretty cool. So
I'm looking forward to seeing what you just found. Cool.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for coming. Everybody in chat or anybody that's going to watch us in the future, please reach out to us at midwestnightwatchers@gmail.com, and we will pass it on to Jesus or however it works. And so if you got any pictures, photos, documents, anything you'd like to show us, please pass it on. Thank you for coming.
What is the name of your YouTube? Yeah, what's the name of your YouTube?
Oh, sorry. The name of my YouTube channel is Breaking Bigfoot. There may not be brand new content there, but I do have 97 videos already on there of my documentary series.
All right.
Bigfoot and UFOs. So,
and you do have a Facebook group that people can write in and comment.
It's the Facebook group that's out there is Breaking Bigfoot as well.
Okay. So remember Breaking Bigfoot.
Right,
then everybody will remember.
Don't forget to go watch that show, guys, on Netflix. It's a good show. But I appreciate you guys. I always have fun, and I can't wait till next time.
Oh yeah, I can't wait till next time also.
So don't go away. Stay put. Jesus will talk to you after the show. And thank you, everybody, for coming. We love you. Enjoyed your comments and stuff. Please send us whatever you want. Oh, there you go, Jane with her heart.
And to finish off the weekend,
thumbs up.
Happy 4th weekend.
Happy
there
4th.
You go.
Stay safe, everybody. Please.
Yep.
Stay safe. Yep.
Much love, everyone.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Love you.
Good night.